This is Rehearsal and Recovery with Jamelyn Gray. Today's guest, Sarah Mankowski-Lathrum. Let's start this thing then. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, Sarah Mankowski-Lathrum, to Rehearsal and Recovery.
Well, thank you.
How
It's
are
great
you?
to- I'm good, thanks. It's great to be here. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
That's
This is welcome to the, what did you call it? Did you call it the lair or
The
something?
lair, your hidden lair.
my secret lair.
That's right.
Where I make all the things happen.
This is where the
this
magic
space.
happens.
This is where the magic happens. No, it really is. It is my brain. And if you could
Yeah.
see the things, I've got show posters and like all kinds of things like
It's
all over the place. And
amazing.
it is, and there's like crap on the floor and all kinds
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
It's just it is my brain space.
It's
I
your
wish
process.
it is my process.
Yeah.
I wish it could be a little bit finer, but
Mhm.
it's
No, I love it.
not. So
Just
I
the
think
way it
layer
is.
is just a great name. And I'm wearing sweatpants today.
Yeah.
I went for comfort today
Mhm.
because I don't know, I was just not
No, not
feeling the
feeling it.
day today.
No, me too. I'm wearing my sort of like, I call them like my low self-esteem pants because I'm like, I just,
Self-esteem pants.
just don't give a shit. Like, okay, here's my like, workman, kind of shirt and just, I washed my hair though. I do have,
I am
So I was gonna
super
say,
grateful,
little wash,
super proud.
a little soap and water never hurt anyone.
No, it did not.
Mm-mm.
I too showered just for
Well, there you
you.
go.
So,
But
but
I
I
love
had to.
the glitter eyeshadow. I love it.
Oh, I gotta. Yeah, I wear sweatpants and like glitter eyeshadow. That is me in
I
nutshell.
know.
And
Welcome
my
to,
9 Inch Nails
I would say, well,
t-shirt.
you
Like
got it. I mean, that's
I
part
have
of the,
to.
yeah,
This
you
is
do.
me in nutshell.
mean-
This is me at my most vulnerable.
Well, I was gonna say, like, this is like, part of the punk rock code. I mean, you have to have something. I mean, I just have visible tattoos, right? And multiple piercings, and a box on my head. So
And a box on your head. And we'll get to that because that is an epic tale of the
Oh.
box and head thing. Yeah. So, and that was in Poland too, wasn't it? Didn't that whole thing?
was.
Yes,
It
if I remember
was.
correctly.
That's
Yes,
right.
we'll get through all of that stuff. We'll get through the whole thing. Well,
Right.
well, let's just say, so we've known each other for how many years now? Like,
Gosh.
is it
It's been a minute.
is it 3, 4? Like
3.5. Yeah.
something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
You understudied the Beauty Queen of the
I
Non,
did indeed.
which was you understudied Flora Coker. Amazing that she was. And I think that was the first, yes? And then
I did your audition workshop.
oh, you
too.
did the audition workshop first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's honestly how we get a lot of new people into the processes, because we
Yeah.
get to see you work and we get to know you and we get to know
Yeah.
your personality, and we're like, this
Yeah.
is a constructivist person.
Yes, I've auditioned for you several times. Yes, and I've gone to mixers.
And the
too.
mixers
Yes.
too. And yes, yeah.
Mhm.
But you are somebody who is absolutely embedded in the community and in the Milwaukee theater community, and you are all over the place and just do so much stuff with so many groups because you are just a wanted human.
Thank
You just people are drawn to you and your work, and you work all the time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think that's also kind of one of my, again, it's a blessing and a curse, like that I think is one of my, I don't know if you would call them like compulsive habits, or some people call them addictions, but yeah, definitely staying busy all the freaking time.
Yeah, you
like,
are a busy human.
yeah, and I think that's, sort of like, again, in our society viewed positively, like, yeah, work, that's the ethic, of our society.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's also a wonderfully effective avoidance strategy.
It can be. It can be.
So, I mean, I do recognize that side of it, saying like you work yourself until there's no space for anything else. Like not working or staying quiet or staying, in a place where you can actually start letting your thoughts collect and,
Yeah, yeah. I've heard that.
yeah.
I just read it, and I keep talking about it because it's just so on my mind. Dopamine Nation. Have you
Ooh,
ever read this book? I listened to
not
the
yet.
audiobook. It's really great, and you should definitely
Yeah.
get it. But one of the pieces that she talks about in there, and I can't remember the doctor's name, but she narrates it as well and is very good at it. Um, that very piece of not allowing your brain to slow down
Mm-hmm.
and the effect that that has on your body systems
Mm-hmm.
and things. It's very, you should go and
Mm-hmm.
get it and read it and on all of the things
Yeah.
if you have the opportunity to make space for that in your life. But I definitely think
Mm-hmm.
you would enjoy that, just
Yeah,
knowing you.
for sure. For sure.
But we also have our Stitch and Bitch sessions,
Yes. Yes. I need to know
like
the
once
next
a
one.
month. I don't think we plan the next
All
month,
right.
but we'll get on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's our embroidery circle
Oh,
of
it's
theater artists.
amazing. Yeah, it's so cool.
So once a
'Cause
month we get together
yeah.
and we just stitch
Yeah.
and bitch. That's
Yeah.
that's
I do
our
my like little 6 rows of my project that will never be done.
that will never ever ever finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe when I retire. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
It's
yeah.
it's an excuse to get together
Yeah. No,
and
it's
just bitch a
fantastic.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
do that a lot too,
I
and you
love that.
host and a
That's
lot, and
wonderful.
because you're like that centrally
Yeah.
located person,
And the queen pin.
and that's
Mm-hmm.
really helpful.
Yeah.
So
No, it's wonderful to have people over.
yeah,
You can play
and
with
you
their
have
cat.
the greatest snacks, and you have the greatest like water things. You're
Oh,
like, there's
yeah.
this little water thing. I don't know. It's this such and such flavor. It's coconut and
Oh,
berry,
yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try
Oh
that.
my God. The passion fruit spindrift to die for. Oh my gosh. Although, after like biking 150 miles, because like,
Oh my
like,
god, and you do that
yeah, I
too.
did that. But again, I feel like the poster girl, like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Because people say, like, oh, are you a cyclist? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not at
But I
all.
was that day.
Yeah, I was that day, and my buns hurt for you, F cancer. But yeah, and they had this like coconut water, like with different flavors, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. It was disgusting.
Was it gross?
It was so gross. And I was like, well, maybe I'll try yours. No, it was even worse. So yeah, so if you see flavored coconut water, just say no.
Just
Just
say
say
no.
no.
Okay.
Stick with like, that says coconut water. That's it.
End of story.
End of story. No
Okay.
other ingredients and no flavors.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's my tip for the day.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for coming to the podcast.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Um so yeah, so you are busy, busy, busy bee, but let's rewind to the beginning of your story.
hmm
Can you tell the peoples can you tell the peoples where you grew up?
Oh, I am born and bred Milwaukeean.
Huzzah.
Yeah. Woo. And it was one of those things that, you don't appreciate something until you've just been gone and, traveled around and I came back after just a whirlwind of unfortunate a series of unfortunate
Here's an
events.
unfortunate
Yes.
event.
And just landed with my, jumbled brain back in Milwaukee. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna cool my jets and figure out where I'm gonna go next, what I'm gonna do. Didn't happen. So but actually, like, and Milwaukee is kind of like that glue, it once you stay, once you get here, you can't really just quite take off again. But it's great
Oh yeah,
because
I've
yeah,
said I'm not moving anywhere else.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true because people, when you go to places where people, drink and talk smart, and back in the day, and they would say like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna. It's like, how long have you been in Milwaukee? Oh, 15 years. Okay, wow, good luck with that. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for you. Um, that I just really started appreciating how much my city has really grown and developed, and some, things that made me cry, like seeing, a booze was no longer with us, and I was like, seeing the gentrification of, Bayview, where I
Mm.
used to live, and so things are definitely heartbreaking too. But it's been such a joy. I say, yeah, I would never move anywhere else because I feel like we have, the best of everything right here in our city. I mean,
Yeah.
I was actually taking a walk on Saturday and it was still lightly raining. I'm like, I need to get out of the house. And I ride on the KK Parkway, and then here's like this little like secret trail, and you can like go hiking in your neighborhood. How
Oh,
cool
that you
is
never knew
that?
was there before?
Well, I kind of did, but I was like, I'm gonna take this little secret trail. It was great. You can
Nice.
just, yeah, like walk around, and you're in the woods, like just, and this is like in my neighborhood, and it's so cool. So I really love where I live. We're in the Jackson Park
Yeah.
neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so cool because you can like look at the different
With your
houses and
super cute cats.
yes, and
I
our
love your
cats that we're
cats.
never gonna let out of the house because, when the cats get out of the house, they don't come back.
Then they don't
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they become fodder in the chain of life, the cycle of life.
Well, you do live like just off the path there.
Yeah.
It's a very busy street.
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
that you don't want the kitties to be out.
No, no. So yeah, so we just, torment them by opening up the windows, saying like, well, that's freedom, but you can't have any.
Smell it.
Yeah.
Smell the
Ah,
freedom.
yes. And then the other outdoor cats are like, yeah, so we're actually kind of torturing our cats, like,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but
I
yeah,
don't know.
but
I think deep down inside they know that you're keeping them safe.
that's right. It's for your own
They're
good,
not. I don't know. Your cats are. I feel like they're at least when we're over, they're
Yeah.
really well behaved,
Hmm.
and so I
Yeah.
don't feel like they're in a hurry to get out.
No,
Yeah.
no. Actually, just one at
Oh,
Roshi.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he would be fine. He would be totally fine. He'd be on his own. Minnie, I think she would get into a big fight and give them what they got, but then I think she'd get eaten.
Oh no.
And Mickey is just, cannon fodder for whoever comes along because she's just like, oh, what's this? She's not really a predator.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Have you
But
always been a cat person?
yes. Yeah, always
Did
since
you have
I
cats when you were a kid? Oh,
yeah.
did you really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Matt was always a dog person. They had dogs. And
Matt is your person.
yeah, yes, my person, the person who puts up with me and who takes very good care of me. And I think people say like, well, Sarah doesn't like dogs. It's like, well, no, I just don't like your dog. It's just, I mean, I do like
Dogs are, and again,
yeah.
you are a very busy person,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so I think cats are
Yeah.
more your speed
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Dogs, I mean, I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. Because
that's
I can't commit.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Hmm.
different commitment level for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. No, I don't have children either because that's a whole nother,
That's a different commitment
yeah.
level
Yeah.
on top of
On
that.
top of that,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah. Childless cat lady. Yes.
So you grew up in Milwaukee.
Hmm.
With like where in Milwaukee?
So I'm actually a native East Sider. I was born at Columbia Hospital. Which is now I think the northwestern quadrant of
Okay.
UWM. And so
Okay.
when I came back and I was trying to get licensed in Wisconsin to teach, because my license that I got in Vermont, which was reciprocal in 47 different states, but not,
But not
yeah, not
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. No, 27. Yeah, 27, but still not Wisconsin. They don't play it anyway at Sandbox. So they're like, well, you're going to have to take this class. And it's also within a year of your first full-time job with MPS, blah, 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 like ready, set, go. And so what was it? Like peace studies. Yeah, really strange. So it was in the basement of the Northwestern Quarter. And so they're like, well, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I said, well, I was born here. And they're like, oh, you're from Milwaukee. I said, no, I was born right here.
You're like
They're like,
right in this.
"Ooh, yeah, yeah." And so I was asking my mom, who was working at Columbia at the time, can you imagine how awkward that be? Like, wow, Jamie, like, you are really dilated. We'll see you on Tuesday. Like she was, yeah, like
Oh
your
my
colleagues are
God.
in the delivery room, like, wow, awkward.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was saying to my mom, like, what was in the basement? And she's like, don't know, like maybe x-rays. Like I think it was the morgue, but
Oh.
because they had really wide doors, and I was like,
Oh.
what would you put in the basement of a hospital?
The
So yeah,
bodies.
but I just didn't really think about that. We're just trying to like, think of like this, nice, pleasant thoughts during the course. And I was like, I think this is where they put the bodies. I know what that drain is for on the floor. Mhm. But see, then this last show that I did for the One X Festival, um, was at Inspiration Studios, a former funeral home. So
Yeah.
yeah, we hung out in the basement too, and I was like, this is weird. They have
This
a
is
shower.
weird.
They have a
Oh, this is
shower.
weird.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been backstage at that space.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. You haven't missed
Okay.
anything. Yeah, you just
I
know.
don't need to do
Mm-mm.
that. Okay.
No.
Good to know. Good
Yeah,
to
and
know.
that was actually good because, for being the busy bee, like it was like, 9 minutes, front, start to finish and two people and minimum set, so that was fine. Yeah, that was good. Did you see that? We got best
I saw
actors.
that you got best
Oh,
actors.
with one
Yeah.
arm tied behind our backs because then the second week they had another cast. They double cast it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I had to do that, like, scenic shore, and so they double cast it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So I was kidding. I was kidding. I said to our director, I was like, "Oh, be a dear and please accept my award on my behalf, would you?"
Oh,
And then,
hilarious.
my friend Rob, the guy that was in the show, and it was like, "How was the ride?" I was like, "Oh, it was good." I said, "How was the party?" And he's like, "Oh, by the way, we did this," and he sends the pictures. And I was like, "Yeah,
That's hilarious.
I was just kidding." Yeah, that was so funny. But yeah, it was it
So
was
you
really
have a
fun.
weird attachment to morgues,
Yeah,
where
I know.
this is
Yeah, I
where this is
perform.
leading to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Places
you
where dead people were.
yes, some weird universal
Yeah,
connection.
yeah,
So where did you go to elementary school? I mean, like
yeah.
what I'm really interested in here is like where did your connection to theater start?
Right. So basically, I then we moved to the northwest side. So I grew up on 93rd and Capitol, roughly 93rd and Malvina. So I went to St. Margaret Mary, and then I went to high school at Divine Savior. So I have 12 years of Catholic
Of Catholic
school.
school.
Oh my gosh, I will
Ba,
never
ba, ba.
tuck it. Yeah, look, I have not tucked in my shirt. I will refuse to wear plaid. Yes. Oh my
You
God.
rebel.
I know. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. I mean, and my mom is still trying to get me to, like, return to the church. And I was like, Mom, I
Oh
did my time.
no.
I did my time. 12 years hard time. Yeah, I'm done.
I learned whether I liked this or not, and
Oh
let me
my
tell
God.
you,
That was a hard no. I
it's
broke
hard
my,
no.
grandmother's hearts when I didn't get confirmed, but I took my
Oh,
confirmation
you didn't
name.
even get
Oh no, I did
confirmed.
not. Because I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
I'm not spending 2.5 years again of my time doing pretty hard volunteering and class attendance for something that I'm not like on board with.
Where do you feel like you lost that connection
Oh.
or like just
I
super
would say
early?
probably, you're growing up and then, you hit 8th grade, and that was that fall when I was in 8th grade was my parents' divorce. And
Oh,
I'm not saying there's a good time to get divorced, but that's really not a good
that's a
time.
really
That's
hard
a really
time.
hard time. And that really kind of sealed it. I was like, I'm out,
God isn't
this is
real.
dumb. And and my sister she's 18 months younger than I am. So again, just seriously still like just not a good time. And so, yeah, really like unfortunate, family drama and uh and so yeah, by the time I got into
So,
high school, it
well,
was
did your family drama, do you feel like that did you find that challenging in some way? Did you was
yeah.
did it well, like what I like to ask people is do you feel like you had a normal upbringing, or do you feel like it went sideways
It went sideways because I think we come from a long line of, actually say, like, I said it as a joke and then it became true. I said I come from a long line of divorced Irish alcoholics, and then I became a statistic. But it's true. We all cover things up very well, but you will
Okay.
see a beer bottle in every single Mankowski family photo. And
Okay.
we were like, ha 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 ha. But then realizing, like, oh, that's because they're all a bunch of fucking alcoholics. I mean, just like you can just go down the line. I mean, my dad owned, was in the liquor business for 50 years.
Okay.
If that gives you any indication. So I know my booze really well. I wish I knew something constructive like computer science or something.
So was alcohol a factor in your parents' divorce, or no?
No, but it
Okay.
was always a constant in our lives. So I think that finally when this, came out, my mom basically kind of met her rebound guy and was like, I want out, So for their 20th anniversary, she served my father with papers.
Wow.
Yeah, ouch. But, and he was just like, oh, no, this came
I don't know
from?
where this came
Like
from.
this came right out of the blue. And it's like, let's take a look at the last 20 years of basically absentee, parenting, absentee husbanding, I mean, because he was always at the store.
Oh.
That was his coping
Oh.
mechanism. So that's where I learned it from. But then he would go out and do these, like get together with his, his coworkers, da da da, and they'd go out, they'd be drinking or whatever. Um, and he never included my mom or his
Oh.
children. Oh yeah. So we were always just kind of second fiddle.
So
So
dad was just really not present
not
at all.
really. And I
Okay.
think she finally met, like this rebound guy, and she was like, I'm done. I deserve to be happy. Later on, she said, I could have stayed married to your father, but I would have become a bitter, neurotic woman. And I don't think that's fair to you or my sister. Um, I was like, yeah, because, us kids were like, mom just ruined our lives. Why? And then she's going to start dating like Larry. What? We're like, what the fuck? And we had no idea because you're in eighth grade. You don't know. You
Yeah.
think like everything's fine. I mean, they did get separated when I was in second grade, but then
Oh.
they got back together.
Okay.
And it was sort of like, Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football, like everything would be just fine. And then it
Okay.
wasn't. I was like, you said, so
Okay.
I hated my mother. Hated. I was like,
It
you
was all
lied.
her fault.
All
It
your
was
fault. Everything was fine. And then, so it wasn't until, much later, it was actually my psychology of women class that said either A, you can do like this interview with your mother about her mother and your relationship, or you could write like a 20-page research paper. And I was like, ugh, fine. And that's when I really started coming out. So not till college that I
so
really,
you did do the interview with your mother
I did, because I was
instead
like,
of
oh,
I mean,
yeah,
some people
I know.
would really go like, "I'm doing the 20-page research paper. I'm
Yeah,
not talking to
I know.
my mom
I
for
know.
anything."
I was
You
like,
know?
and it really was kind of like a, oh, I don't know, but I was like, oh, I just don't have the time to do this. So I was like, fine. And I did not. I mean, that was in college too. So, I mean, this was like years. I mean, we were civil to each other and, but we weren't really buddies, you know. Um,
So how did high school go then? I mean, were you living with your
So
mom
then
then?
mom, because mom and I were just at each other's throats because I was like, you are just this evil
Oh.
person who ruined our lives and
Oh.
kicked dad out. Now you're dating, my sister's friend's father, like, and you have your whole new family. And I was like, and so she was like, I'm done. I'm out. So you take care of them. So she had my dad move back into the house and then she moved out. And actually she moved in to the same apartment complex that my grandma was living in, she had a
Horrible.
horrible. Yes. I mean, my grandma was like, she reminds me of like Joan Crawford, if that gives you any
Okay.
indication,
Yeah,
but just
sure.
no, and actually, Who's
If you
Afraid of
don't know
Virginia?
who Joan Crawford
Yeah.
is,
Check
use
her
the
out.
Google.
Yeah, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Like, yeah, like,
Okay.
yeah, so that they would, oh, horrible childhood. I said, later on, like I said, if I had a childhood like that, I'd either be like in an insane asylum or a serial killer or both, you know, but my mom,
So you're dealing with like generational trauma after generational
yeah,
trauma.
yeah, and again, like now, like, however, she is one of my heroines because she took that trauma and didn't just survive it, but she transformed it as a warrior into going into a caregiving profession as a nurse. And she was a nurse for
Wow.
40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like
When did she
unreal.
do that?
So she actually, to her mother and her great aunts, were going to pay for the full ride for her to stay in Milwaukee and go to Columbia School of Nursing. And she was like, fuck you. I'm going back to Chicago because they ripped her out of her grandparents' arms, who were basically her mom and dad for all intents and purposes, because my grandma couldn't be bothered with children. She was sort of like she didn't choose to be a mother, but she had to.
Oh.
And so her friends in Milwaukee found her some guy that would marry a single mother. So dragged her
Oh.
out of Chicago at the age of 12. Again, there's that magic number 12.
Oh.
Really bad time, and literally crying her eyes out the whole way to Milwaukee to marry this guy that didn't really care much for my grandma, certainly didn't care much for her daughter, and just had this like miserable childhood. And
Oh.
so finally they're like,
Wow.
wow, we'll pay your ride if you stay in Milwaukee and go to nursing school. She was like, I will
It's like, no,
not.
thank you.
Yeah. So basically, like, she just,
And bye.
yeah, and goodbye. So she, threw all of her stuff in the garbage, like all of her yearbooks, all of her Beatles albums, everything into the garbage, packed up her suitcase, and then just got a bus to the bus station and went back to Chicago to be with her grandma and to go to nursing school in Chicago at St. Anne's. And she paid her whole way. They didn't give her a penny. And every weekend she would go and visit her grandma because she had had a stroke by then, and painted her nails Redlands cherries in the snow, which is the longest running color the Revlon has.
Wow.
Every week. So yeah, so she's amazing.
She really took that
Yeah.
pain and went, I'm gonna.
Yeah, really transformed it. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah. But again, that's with time, that you realize these things. Like, I mean, when I'm
Sure, this is all hindsight that you're
right.
like you're
Yeah.
like when you're a kid,
You're like, you ruined my
you
life,
ruined my life,
yeah.
and
Dad was always kind of like the good cop because he was never home. So mom had to do all the
sure,
heavy
and we
lifting.
romanticize
Yes. Yeah.
that parent and
Oh,
we get our own
yeah.
ideas of
And
what that.
right. And so
is.
basically then, and
So
dad,
you ended up living with your dad during
yeah,
high
so
school?
dad was, which again, like there's the absentee parenting, like, he'd like leave these very cute, notes and stuff, but he was never around. So then my sister and I kind of like, the two roads diverged. So I, threw myself into my studies. I never tried out for theater. And just, I never tried out for like the angel airs, like the chorus. I never tried out for sports. I never did any instruments. And I wonder why. And I think it's because I didn't have anyone say, you should try out. No one ever said that to me. And I never thought of myself
Your
as
dad was
being
in
good
your
enough.
dad was in going, what do you think about extracurricular
Yes,
activities?
nothing. And my sister, no, she didn't do anything either. And so it's interesting because we had a very good theater program at Divine Savior, and we had a wonderful chorus, the Angel Airs, and we had great sports, but no one said, you should try. And I never really felt like, oh, I would
And
be
you
good
just didn't have the mm, just the what it I don't want to call it ignorance, but it's like if you don't have role models around
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just showing you, oh, here's this opportunity or that opportunity or
yeah.
that opportunity.
I just
I don't know if you can get like just that
no,
thought out of anywhere.
I never thought of myself as being qualified. And
Um,
that's actually, I mean, I came into theater like accidentally. It was in college. So kind of fast forward to college, that I, through a series of like I met da 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 da, and then I met this person, then my friend was my boyfriend, and da 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 da. And then met his girlfriend at the time, my now very good friend Jesse. And he was saying, well, we're doing this play and you should try out. And I was like, who? What? You're talking to me? Like, who? I have never done theater. And they were just desperate. I think they were just desperate, but whatever. I got 3 parts. And it was the first and only production of the Mayudic Repertory Theater, Karpolevsky, or What Is to Be Done with Them, by Kobe Weitzner. Produced in the Engelman Hall before it became a lecture hall. It was still a theater.
okay.
Yeah, and it was I mean, it almost reminds me, like I see, plays like Noises Off and stuff like that. I mean, it was hilarious. I was 17 and had a blast. But so the Mayudic Repertory Theater brought together professionals like from Theater Tesseract at the time, and all these other Theater X, maybe not Theater X, but anyway, like all these like professional companies
Okay.
with people like me who've never been
Never done anything
and so
before.
it was this kind of like mentorship idea,
Okay.
like, and I loved it. I felt head over heels and love. I could hang out with all these cool people and smoke like cigarettes and not do my homework and just loved it. I
Okay.
fell head over heels, and it was great. But it was it was I don't know, maybe Milwaukee wasn't ready for Karpolevsky, I don't know,
Okay.
and neither were the actors, like, one of, the actors was like, "I can't work in these conditions,"
Oh my lord.
'cause it was just ridiculous, but I thought it was great,
Holy
and,
cow.
I think Damien Jakes just really, gave us a bad review, and I'm like, "We have to find that review,"
Oh my
um,
gosh. I haven't
but
heard that name in
right?
forever.
I know, and I don't know, whatever. Who cares? But and I think the playwright ended up suing the producer who filed
Oh
for
my.
bankruptcy. Yeah, it was just a comedy of errors, but I just
Oh
thought it was
my
great, and I
god.
fell head over heels in love with theater
Okay.
from then on. Yeah, and there we went. Yeah, so that was fantastic. Yeah.
So so when did you start drinking?
Well, I mean, besides like the occasional, like, you go to someone's house like in high school, like, ooh, like, we have some like in the
Did you
liquor
drink in
cabinet.
high school?
Well, but I mean, like I say, there was like the one time that, we had out, we do a screwdriver, okay, and I was like,
Okay.
and then, one time at Alpine Valley for Monsters of Rock, you know, oh my God. And, we were drinking the,
Who was at Monsters of Rock?
really, oh, it's Poison was headlining.
Yes!
Oh my God. Oh, and I think no, Rat wasn't playing, but yeah, it was White Lion, Striper.
Striper was there?
Yeah, it
Oh
was
my god.
amazing. Yeah. And
That's
we
awesome.
have like our Bartles and James because my friend's brother got them, he was with his girlfriend and we're like, I don't know, like, are we drunk? Like, I don't know. Like, so we just had no idea. I
Your
mean,
Brothers and James wine coolers. Yeah.
they're like getting warm because you can
Yeah.
only have one. And so besides those like literally two incidents,
Okay.
that was it because then junior and senior year in high school, I was dating this recovering addict. So
Oh wow.
yes, yes. And so we would go to like I would go to like an Al-Anon meeting while
Oh
he went to an
wow.
NA meeting. Yeah, he and his brother were both in recovery. We
Wow.
went to the coffee house on 8th Street for like New Year's Eve. Yeah, for a sing along. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was, like basically I was like, look, I'm the model child. Yes, I'm sexually active and I smoke, but I got on the bus and took myself to Planned Parenthood on 76th and Mill Road because I don't trust those little raincoats. And I don't want to be a teen mom like my grandma. Well,
Yeah.
she wasn't a teenager, but still, I don't want to be
Young
like,
young
yeah.
mom, yeah.
I know. So yeah, so I, like my
So
mom.
you were introduced to s- sort of addiction and recovery super early.
Yeah, yeah. He and his brother really went through the ringer and were in recovery. And like I say, they were practicing. There's, like I say, the 12-step
12
meetings
step,
and
yeah.
yeah, so I don't actually it ends up fast forward, like my sister stayed in touch with him and after we were, broken up, whatever, and named her first son after him. I was like, why did you name your son after my high school sweetheart? Anyway, um,
That's
yeah.
weird.
I'm like, why did you do that? That's really weird. Hmm. Anyway, um, but
Okay.
yeah, I came back. They picked my sister and my mom picked me up from the airport, and from the front seat, she's like, "Oh, by the way, like, Ethan died," and I was like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, I guess he overdosed." What? Yeah, like just oh, by the way, like what? Yeah, and this was, I mean, this is probably like 20 years ago. Yeah, but
Sure.
he's my age, and
Sure.
what? So from what I could gather, I think he was struggling with like, depression or something, and trying these
Sure.
meds, or I don't know what he was doing, but because I was again like not involved or connected with him, we tried to get back together, the first year in college and for like a couple months, and then no, didn't happen. So that second breakup is much easier than the first. You kind of
Yeah.
cry your eyes out over doing your chemistry homework and then you're done. You get your Pink Floyd tape back and your sleeping bag. You're back on track. You're like, I know people and but yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, I don't know about his brother. I don't know. I mean, like I say, but yeah, so I was introduced to that very early, and I kind of felt like, to my parents saying, "Look, like, aren't you proud of me? Like, look what I'm doing. I'm practicing birth control. Yeah, I'm smoking, but I mean, I'm not drinking. My dad's
Yeah.
like, is that patchouli? Because I was a hippie too in the late
Yeah,
80s.
yeah,
Everybody was,
yeah, yeah.
and
Oh,
I was like,
the late 90s people
well,
were
yeah,
still
yeah, I know, right? 91. Yeah. And he's like, well, I worked on the east side and I know what pot smells like. I'm like, Dad, it is patchouli and I'm not smoking pot. Yeah. So anyway, my dad suspected that I was,
and
I
covering
was
it up with patchouli. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm not. But that was some horrible patchouli, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. From Starship Tobacco.
Okay.
Yeah. And the marketplace on no, Starship. That's where I got the patchouli. But yeah, so but then after the breakup, then I was like, I have to catch up.
I'm ready to party down.
So I went to my friend Jen Koblik's house, and we can probably delete all the names. Um and she was having a house party, and I was like, yeah, let's bring it. And then I think they were smoking some pot, and I kind of sat around. I'm like, this is boring. I just want to go home. So I went home, and that was it. I mean, I wasn't like, super drunk or anything like that, but then when I was, getting involved in the theater scene, um that's when kind of the bad stuff started happening, because I was hanging out with people that after they would do rehearsal, they would go out and drink.
I don't think that I don't know if people can grasp how much we actually drank
Oh my lord,
after rehearsal and after shows
a
in
lot.
the 90s and 2000s.
Oh
Like
my
like
god, yeah. I mean, and I
it was the culture. It was the
yes,
thing.
and we're in we
And you're
are in
in
New York
Milwaukee.
City. I mean, there's that. I mean, nobody checks IDs because I'm still like way underage. But I had all these friends who were at least 8 years older than me.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
and you go to establishments that don't check IDs.
Sure.
And I had no idea what I was doing, so I was just kind of following their lead. So, okay, they're getting that, I'll get that. They're taking a sip, I'll take a sip. So I'm just following their leads. I had no idea about tolerance. And I mean, as a non-practicing Catholic, but whatever, like this, like I think my guardian angel's like, your lives are done. You have gone through your 9 lives and you are on borrowed time, sister. Because like I remember like one time I was still living with my mom, and I was driving back from like River West, and like you have this kind of off ramp that goes circular, and then I'm coming off it, and you have to kind of turn right, and it's just again, because you've had a few and you're young and you don't know anything
And
about
you don't know
tolerance,
anything.
anything. And so I kind of like just overcompensated and hit the curb, and I like busted my tire.
Oh
And I
no
was,
shit.
and again, this is like 92, I don't know. And so there's no cell phones. It's in like River Hills. So there's like no light. And I'm like, what am I mean, I can't walk home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, also no cell phones.
yeah, and I'm also impaired. I mean,
And you're impaired.
yeah. So,
And you're in big trouble.
yeah, and so the police officer thank goodness, within a relatively short amount of time, amazing, pulls up behind, and I was like, Jesus Mary, this is where Jesus Mary, just help me. We start praying again. Like, I don't know, do I have any like cards left? I did 12 years. Um and what seems, I'm like, oh my
Funny.
gosh, like my tire, it's flat. I don't know what to do. Always start with the tears. Always start with the tears. But although that didn't get me out of a ticket in Darien, Connecticut, didn't help. But and he's like, do you know how to change a tire, ma'am? And I missed because I was young. I don't know
Sure.
how to change a tire. Okay. And that police officer changed my tire. Yes, he did, and sent me on my way.
Holy shit.
I know. So by the time I actually, got caught, and especially like the second, it's like, well, it's about fucking time. I mean, like my friend, who shall but remain anonymous, like would joke with me about like, like just checking the grill for dead babies in the morning. I mean, like,
Oh
no
man.
lie. I mean, because it's like, I just thought of this phrase today on the way over. The ignorance of the addict, is basically like or sorry, the arrogance of the addict,
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
arrogance of the addict. Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll do just fine. I won't get caught. I'll be fine.
Do you really feel like you felt that way though, or do you really feel like you were just like being young and stupid?
Yeah, that was being young and stupid. But as the years went on, and you knew fine well what you were
Sure.
doing,
Sure.
yeah, then you're like, oh, I've only had a couple. I'm fine. It's like, yes, but you didn't eat anything for most of the day. You haven't eaten since blah blah blah, which is another kind of, coping mechanism, I don't know if you call it addiction or just, compulsive behavior was under eating too. That didn't help either, and exercise addiction. So, by the time I got out to Connecticut, like I was under eating and over exercising and over drinking.
So where so
Mhm.
what how, so how did that transition happen? What time was frame was that that
Yeah,
you
so
that you
base
went that you were like did you just go like I'm done with Milwaukee for now? Like I need a change of scenery.
Yeah, so basically I was in Milwaukee through like well actually let's see. So I was in Milwaukee and I really didn't I kind of through another like kind of connections became involved with Milwaukee Irish Arts. So
Yeah,
I was doing shows with them like hopefully like every year or so, which was pretty cool. We were doing some really awesome shows. We took it to Toronto to the Acting Irish International Theater Festival, and we won Best Production for the first time in Milwaukee Irish Arts history, like
that's
25-year history.
fantastic.
Thank you. And then I was nominated for Best Supporting Actress and got taken down by two women from Ireland, going around Ireland performing this award-winning play, The Beauty Queen of Leman. And I was like, oh, it takes two women from Ireland being Irish. Oh, I don't feel bad about that at all. Like, I'm really not going to be crying myself to bed over that. Like, if
Like
that's what it
wait a
takes.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, yeah. So, I don't feel bad about that at all. But yeah, I know.
My Milwaukee ass
Yeah,
was
like,
taken
yeah, like
down
I
by
know.
two women from Ireland.
Yeah,
Okay.
being Irish. Oh, well done.
With the beauty queen.
I
Okay.
know, yeah. Give yourself a pat on the back there. Oh, indeed. I mean, what the fuck? So yeah, Keith Hamzett got he got best actor. And yeah, we but again, like we were just, I mean, by that time, I mean, fast forward, I mean, it was just de rigueur. I mean, you go out like every, and again, we were
So you're
rehearsing.
like rehearsing and drinking, rehearsing and
Yeah.
drinking, rehearsing
Yeah.
and
I
drinking.
mean, so you're calling yourself like
And a day job?
oh, of course, and several day jobs.
And
I was,
several day
yeah,
jobs. Okay.
and again, like, so you'd say, like, well, I was like a functional alcoholic. I was like, barely, you are just hanging on by a thread,
You're running on adrenaline.
yeah, you really are, and you're just running on empty. Like you're just, you're running on literally on fumes. And I had a couple incidents, over the course of my career where, like people like either an administrator would say, like you smell like alcohol.
Oh.
hmm Um, and but they couldn't prove it. So I went to like a job counselor. Well, I went to a counselor because I was like, again, so this is maybe 2000 early 2000s, so maybe like 2001 maybe, and I was like, I think I have a problem because this happened,
Okay.
and he's like, no, I don't think you have a problem, I think you need to find a different job.
No.
Yeah,
No.
so let me help you work on
No.
your resume. And I was
No.
like,
You're like,
oh
let me
god.
let me be vulnerable here for a minute. Let me look in.
Yeah,
Let me look internally here.
yeah.
I think I have a problem. Let me
hmm
tell you about it. Nope, it's okay. It's
yeah,
just the
you
job.
just job, Oh my God. I was like, oh my God. I mean, even my fellow actors, like
You're like, what the
I
hell, universe?
know. Like, yeah, like I would come to rehearsal and there's like a scene where like we're writing notes back and forth to each other, sitting at this table while the action's going on. And my co-actor is writing like, you smell like booze, dot 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 again you know,
Oh
because I would stop at my
wow.
friend's house before rehearsal for a glass of wine and a toot. And yeah, and then
Oh
come to yes,
wow.
I would. Yep, I would go to the
So
correction.
you were on the fast track.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of ramping up. Because again, it's just like,
because I say and I will
yeah.
and I will and I will continue to
Mm-hmm.
I never had a normal relationship with alcohol.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I too was like, once I was off and running, I was off and running.
Yeah, because it's somehow like in these circles, like, okay, I mean, you had,
It's such the
yeah,
it
it's,
or it was the culture. I don't feel
yeah,
like it's that culture.
it, God, I hope not,
Not
because
post pandemic.
I was actually kind of fast forward, like, when my dear friend Margaret, I call her that, Margaret Casey, um, you know, who has seen me through the entire circle.
Okay.
She met me, early on in Milwaukee Irish Arts, so maybe like, say, same thing, like, mid 2000s, whatever. And so she knew me through them before I went to Connecticut for my starter marriage, my rehearsal marriage.
Your rehearsal
Yeah.
marriage. Yeah.
And then came back, kind of like still a dumpster fire. Then, had like my second dumpster fire, but then recovered, and she watched me, and, through that whole thing. And then when she kind of felt like I was ready, because I was like, well, if you have a show, I'd be interested, as I'm kind of like, I'm done with my probation. I got my driver's license back. I'm divorced. I have my name back. You're just,
Spoiler
yeah,
alert.
I know, right? Yeah, like, and yeah, like BTW. I kept my job, and that's the big miracle. That's like I think people say, like, well, because, like, the universe knows that you're meant to do something great, and I was like, well, that was much appreciated. The miracle, I was able to keep my job with Milwaukee Public Schools through that entire second DUI, which just, again, I don't, kid
Well, let's
myself.
rewind because you
Yeah,
just dumped
yeah,
a
I
whole
know.
bunch of
Yeah.
information,
So,
right?
yeah,
You're like, wait,
yeah. But yeah,
dumpster fire, what,
yeah,
second DUI?
yeah.
Wait,
But
what?
I know, and I'm so sorry. But the point, like, so when she invited me to do this show, a few years ago, it was only a few years ago. It was, well, it's 2022, so it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I had a little bit of trepidation because, number one, the last show I did with them was 2006, so that had
Okay.
been a minute. And the last show I did, in ever, was 2008. And I almost was kind of thinking, as that train left the station, and I was thinking, like, what's it going to be like? Is it going to be
Yeah.
that same culture? And again, I mean, again, this is another gift from, I don't know, the powers that be, that I don't, have any cravings or desire, or, like, second thoughts about, like, oh, I'd really could use a drink right now. But just, feeling like an other, I mean, there is that, when you're on your
Yeah.
third pint of water and you're like, this is really fucking boring because everyone else is getting loaded. And, but actually it was during the pandemic. And we were all in the backyard and just, doing our thing. And we didn't have masks on, unless someone wasn't feeling well. And it was two people that I hadn't worked with before, but we were just like the Breakfast Club, and we were a house on fire, and it was great. And it was great. And it was wonderful. It was great. And so I felt really, really fortunate that, kind of my reentry was successful, as someone who doesn't drink anymore.
Did she say anything to you about how much you've changed, or like,
She
or anything like that?
She
Because
has. Yeah, I
I
mean, when I came back and then, kind of went through my struggles, I mean, we weren't really super, I mean, we'd be kind of in touch, like, oh, hey. But then, she would learn about, like, what, I went through, and she'd say, oh, wow, that's really, I'm so sorry to hear that, and yeah, so what are you doing? But then I think once she really kind of saw, like, okay, I made it through, and, I finished my probation, and I did all the things, and I still checked the boxes, and I still kept my job, and yeah, I'm still sober, and yeah, I think that she was like, wow, wow, you are a walking fucking miracle.
turned it around. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in fact, my dad's wife actually said that to me too. She gave me a bracelet. And she is not one to really kind of parse out kind words, but she was like, because she saw the whole thing, and she actually did not really approve of my father's support during that time. I mean, he, was with me at my plea and sentencing. He drove me to jail. He picked me up, and he would put a bus pass and $20 for groceries in an envelope in the foyer every week during that summer when I wasn't working because my license was revoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she did not approve of that, but
Well,
you know.
let's
Mm-hmm.
go back
Yeah.
because you leave Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Connecticut right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah,
Did you
because
meet your first husband here?
yeah, at the County Clare. If that gives you any
Okay.
indication of where this is going.
So
Yeah.
so you meet him there, and
Huh.
was it a job or was it
No, he was in Milwaukee for it was a meeting or something like that, a conference, I don't know, with a company that his company was working with. And yeah, he wasn't gonna stay way out in New Berlin because he's like, that's boring. So he did the research and was staying at the Nick. And then right around the corner is the Claire.
okay?
And yeah, I mean, this is, an individual. I sometimes wonder if he's still alive. I mean,
Sure.
if he could smoke, he'd smoke. If he had two mouths, he'd smoke with both hands.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and he just, I mean, it really is like Ishkabacha, as they say, the waters of life, except, he's Scottish, so however they say that in Scottish, but
I have no idea.
yeah, I mean, that we
Somebody let us know.
yeah, yeah, phone in. But yeah, I mean, we met in a bar, and again, like he wasn't. I mean, he was a social drinker because, I think maybe he didn't feel comfortable socializing without alcohol.
Okay.
Again, he was an electrical engineer. So, maybe but, again, like coming from that culture where people do socialize and talk and, everything. And he was so shocked when he came to Connecticut because Connecticut is a very, coconut culture. It's a really tough nut to crack. People are very siloed. And then once they check you out and they think you're legit, then they'll let you in.
Okay.
But I mean, so for someone coming from Scotland, it's just, like seeing like why are there like TVs in the bars? Why is nobody talking to each other? I mean, he was just shocked. So
Befuddled.
yeah, and and why doesn't anybody understand what I'm saying? He had to really tone that down. He was from Dundee, so he had to really tone that down. But yeah, and so I think that he, drank just to kind of loosen him, feel a little more loose. And again, that was the culture. I mean, he's
Yeah.
in Scotland, I
Yeah.
mean, all of his friends, again, like in the trades, all the tradesmen,
Yeah.
I mean, Fridays, I think they'd, knock off at noon and then just hit the bars. I mean, well, the pubs,
Yeah.
because it was also a social thing, but they also drank a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I
Wasn't it the
mean,
Scottish people that drank Boston Dry?
yeah, I
Drink
mean,
FIFA? Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I'm telling you,
Okay.
like, no lie. And then, and then once I knew, like, once he'd hit the scotch, I was like, oh God,
Here we go.
really? Yeah, oh dear. Um, so, basically, like, having like, an Irish woman and a Scotsman coming together is just like a match made in hell, because it was just like pouring kerosene on the fire. So basically, you know, I really just ramped it up so
Did ya?
much. Oh my God. I mean, that's why watching, I think a couple years ago it was Milwaukee Chamber Theater did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Laura Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a
it
great
was
show.
yeah, it
You
was
missed it.
amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sucks of you because you missed it. But yeah, but it was actually quite triggering.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was like, "Oh my God, like this is really and actually, again, like if we quick like rewind to my almost first husband who bailed 2 hours before we were supposed to get on the plane. So that was a bullet dodged. But we also had, these kind of like drunken, brawls. I mean, so this was like played kind of a major role in my relationships up to that
What do
point.
you mean by brawls? Just like scream fest?
Well, but then he actually the almost husband, fiance, become physically abusive. Yeah. And he's like, no one else makes me as angry except you, and I was like, well, again, and I didn't know about like the you problem, I mean, again, like I don't know if it's a Pisces thing or what, but you just like sort of throw yourself under the bus like, oh, I'm such a horrible person and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But yeah, it would just kind of like unleash this like just uncontrollable rage. And yeah, it was horrible. So yeah, I mean that was basically it.
But you were ready to go through with it.
Yeah, because he had sort of found the light, he couldn't really move out and leave a note. That's what his plan was when I was away at the Dublin Irish Festival in Dublin, Ohio. He was gonna like, and everyone is in on it. He graduated from UWM. his mother, his friends, his brothers, everyone was helping him pack and move his stuff out
Wow.
in the, the dead of night, dum 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 dum,
Wow.
while Sarah's away. And then I was gonna leave a note. And then so I came back, late Sunday night, and the house was like really clean, and I was like, oh wow, he did some cleaning, but he was still there. He choked, and so he took that as a sign, like, well, I guess we're meant to be together. And I was like, okay, all right. So that was the proposal. Like, well, I guess we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together.
Okay.
And I was like, well, if you've overcome your demons, all right, then I guess well, let's go for it, And we had it all planned. We were gonna get married by a sequin jumpsuit Elvis in a drive-through in Vegas. We had the flights booked, the hotel, we had the flyers, everything. Everyone was all like notified. There was no Zoom or anything at that time, but still, And then
It was all paper invite.
yes, that's right. And I was going to go to the post office to mail a couple more announcements. And I went there and I was going to pay for it. And I realized that I had left my credit card at the bar at Von Trier's the night before because he had just come back from this archaeological dig and they wanted to celebrate a friend's birthday there. And I said, okay, just one because we got to get up early in the morning to go get on the flight. And yeah. And it's true. So I was at Irish Fest that whole weekend, so I was pretty knackered anyway. And so I literally, because he didn't have any money, that was another thing. And so I put
that was the other thing.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Never had a job.
Okay.
Yeah, and a bit of that, and then okay, let's go. And then I was like, oh, because again, like we've got to get the plane. He doesn't have a credit card. You need a credit card to book the plane. Da, 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 da.
Oh,
And
my
so
Lord.
I come back to the house, and I'm like, oh my God, maybe I can call the bar. Maybe the cleaning crew's there. I can pick up the phone anyway. And he's like, okay, we'll just hang on because that's still when it was like the phone line for the internet. He was like trying to like book this like like taping a TV show.
Was it like still dial-up?
Yes, it was.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that. Could you order tickets over the internet with dial-up?
Yeah.
I don't remember how I ordered my
know,
first tickets. I
right?
don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. And he was like trying to like program like a DVR or something. I have no idea. And I was like, like your TV show isn't more important than my fucking credit card or something like that. And he's like, that's it, bro. I'm out. Not doing it.
That was it.
And I was like, you're not pulling this. I'm not burying your shit now, are you? And he was like, and it was almost like, now I sort of can maybe imagine how these serial killers are, like where they go and they bury the body of the young boy they just strangled, like in the basement, and then they go to church. Because all of a sudden it was just like, phew. And he was like, so how are we going to sort out the kitchen stuff? And I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So, whew, yeah. So that was rough.
So that was your first.
Yeah, that was like the
marriage.
bullet dodged. Yeah.
Okay.
And then so I met.
And then you ended up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
When did you get married?
So that was like, so let's see, that was August. Yeah, it was right around my mom's birthday. So September, October, November, December, January, February. So 6 months after he had ditched that I walked into the bar and I met Stuart.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 3 months later we were married.
3 months. Okay.
Yeah, so fast forward when my dad was shocked that, when Matt and I were getting a house, he's like, but you're not married yet. And I was like, who did that? I've tried
We've
that.
been there.
Yeah,
We've done that.
That didn't work out.
It didn't work out. So
No,
we're
we did not.
gonna try a different path.
We're gonna be dating for 5.5 long years. We're gonna own a house.
We're gonna
together.
cohabitate. We're gonna
share our cats.
Share the cats.
Yeah.
Make sure everything is copacetic.
That's right. And then he's gonna go through his process. And yeah. So oh my God.
So where did the first DUI?
Connecticut. So
It
that
happened
was
in
my
Connecticut.
last show. So yeah, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show? Yeah, so I did this, it was up in Torrington, is the Underpants, and I played the lead, Gertrude Durter, and yeah, I remember my lines, but I don't know about the other fuckers. But
oh no,
it was one of those, like,
Oh,
just
no.
yeah, like you see the guy running. I'm like, why are you here? Oh, I forgot that. And I was
oh no.
so anyway, but it was fine because I'm like, I was on point, and that's no, everything's fine. And then my friends had already started getting their drink on over at the black what was it? The black. See, I'm glad that it's fading because I'm like, yeah, that's, maybe it's, or, I used to joke about this early onset, but now my mom has moderate dementia. But, like if you can't laugh, let's just start crying. And I've done enough of that this week.
Mm.
So, yeah, the black elm. I
The
don't
black
know.
something.
Yeah, the black
Black
something. Yeah.
dahlia.
So they're just like, and I had made a joke about like, oh, I need to have my martini like preset behind stage. Backstage, like for props, you have your props preset and everything. And
Yeah.
I'll have my martini preset. And so sure enough, like, my friend's boyfriend's like, oh, here's your martini. And I was like, oh, that's great, and so I had like two, or was it three? I forget. And then it was like, well, and my husband wasn't joining me because he had just gotten back from some trip where he was probably getting services from some Korean massage parlor. And that's another story. But so I was just going to drive home. Now I knew how to, and I always say like my heels were like my sobriety test. I'm like, if I could walk a straight line to the
Oh my
bar,
God.
like and that's the thing is that, I mean, because the bar got sued, and they're like, so we didn't overserve her, like, because it was quite crowded that night too. And but again, and it's just you've got to like stop. This is another thing, you've got to stop throwing people under bus. Like, why did they let me drive? Because they were all loaded. Nobody's going to say,
Yeah.
like, are you okay to drive? And even if they did, you would have said, yes, I'm fine, because that's what we say. We
Yeah.
always say that.
Yeah.
You never admit that you're not okay. Someone has to say, you're not driving,
Yeah.
and no one does that. So,
Well, were you, and I'm not trying to make
Mhm.
excuses here
Yeah.
or anything like that, but were you in an area where you could get a taxi?
Not really. No. And again, like it just I was fine. I have my
And you
car
were
right there.
fine.
So I'm fine. And so
I can walk in my heels fine.
yes, I can walk in my heels fine, and it's a gravel road even. So there. And but the problem was that my car was parked the Prelude on a side street. So I knew how to get take the main street.
That was the weirdest inside
I
joke.
know.
We were just talking about cars before we
Yeah.
got into the podcast
Yeah.
with my husband. We
Yeah,
were
that
talking
was the
about cars.
Prelude.
We were talking about the Honda Prelude, and so that's it was funny. You're like the Prelude.
The Prelude.
Everybody's gonna be like,
the Prelude.
what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, with the dual exhaust. Purred like a kitten.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Anyway,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, so I parked on side street. So again, like this isn't like Milwaukee, I mean, this is like freaking Torrington, Connecticut. And again, like zero headlights.
So in completely different community, completely different
Yeah, I mean, it's
mentality
yeah.
towards alcohol and
They didn't
liquor
sell,
laws and all of the things.
yeah, they didn't sell beer on Sundays because you were supposed to be in church.
Didn't sell beer on Sundays.
Yes,
Like
that is-
different.
You do not have alcohol in like open spaces like parks. Like if you have like a band playing, like there's no open containers. Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big no. Now again, like people would do it on the sly, of course.
Sure.
I mean, but yeah, there was a strict.
There are alcoholics
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes, and especially in Connecticut, where it's prohibited as the most alcoholics. But yeah, so basically I thought, oh, I'll just kind of wind my way back. It didn't happen, and so I did have a cell phone at that point. I'm calling my husband, and I'm trying to use those like GPSs, like those Garmin's, and it's not working because there's no fucking internet. And I'm calling him, and I'm like, I don't know where I am, and there's no street signs, and and anyway. So long story short is I get on the freeway going the wrong way. Mhm.
No.
Mhm. Yeah, and through a series of near misses, I finally kind of hit the bullseye and kind of had a head on, but it was like kind of like this because he was steering to avoid me,
Avoid
but
you.
yeah, we kind of sheared,
Sideswiped
yeah.
him.
So yeah, and I don't remember any of this, by the way. I do remember I remember like
This
a
is all like
series.
police report stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember people flashing their lights, and so I thought, oh
Wow.
gosh, are my lights on? So
Oh,
then
yes.
they're saying she
Oh,
turned her lights
no.
off, So anyway, I mean, again, I think about, and I don't think about the could have, would have, like,
Oh, absolutely.
again, that's why I feel like I was not the only one involved in this. Like, there are some, I don't know, the universe was very kind in saving me and the other people involved in the accident for something greater because, you know, anyway. So, yeah, so basically, but wake up in a hospital with all the other people that you put
Yeah.
there. I mean, so yeah, and basically, I think I was sober in the hospital. Because you're married to an alcoholic who says, no, no, it was just a series of unfortunate events because he went back and he retraced, and actually the wrong way sign was face down. And they were doing construction and la 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 la. So just excuse it all. You're fine. You're fine. It's all good. But yet I still have, like uh,
Who said you're fine? Like
my husband.
your husband
Yeah,
did.
of
Okay.
course, yes. So
It's not your fault.
yeah, it's not your fault. But, I was prosecuted to the, the degree of the law that could, and I didn't do any jail time then, but I did, long probation and, much community service and, all of that.
In
And
like alcohol assessment class
yeah,
and all that
absolutely.
kind of
Driver
stuff.
safety
Driver
and
safety and things.
AA
Yeah.
meetings. And, I mean, that was the thing actually. So in high school,
So you
quick
started to go to AA meetings.
yeah, so actually, like in high school, my mom, this is shortly after the divorce, I found this like little black book and I was like, what's this? She's like, oh, I'm in AA because I think I have a problem. And I was like, oh, does that mean I can go to Alateen? And she was like, okay. So I invited my friend Steph and we went with her to the Dewey Center, which just, I mean, do you know the Dewey Center in Tosa?
I don't think
It's
so. Okay.
beautiful, actually. Just check it out. It's really, really lovely. Just a very idyllic place. And so we met some crazy motherfuckers. Like, oh my gosh. So my mom would go to the
Oh,
AA
wait,
meetings.
maybe I have been there.
It's beautiful. It's just kind of at that end, like sort of like a cul-de-sac, but then you go
Is that where they
down.
do all the legal stuff?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
okay.
But
Never mind.
anyway,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no. But it was really nice. And so yeah, but and I felt like a poser because everybody's going around like, oh, my dad and drunk and blah, blah, my parents this and I was like, I've never seen my mom or my dad drunk. Yeah, pass. Like I would find like bottles, like those bottles of like those glass bottles of Gallo, like in her dresser, because of course you go and like search your parents like stuff because you're just like, oh, what's going on?
So she was hiding bottles.
She was. Yeah. So, but I never saw her drunk. But again, I'm young.
But you don't know.
I don't know what that looks
Yeah.
like. It's even with my dad. Like, I was like, oh, I've never seen like, well, you don't
Yeah.
know,
He's probably drunk all the
I
fucking
know.
time.
He's like, and he's, again, like, I mean, it was good to have an ally. I mean, some people, would disown their children. But he's like, the difference between you and I is that, you got caught. He's like, I
Oh,
have
man.
many more years on
Oh.
you, and I've done a lot more drinking and driving, but you got caught, you know?
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I was like, yep. Yeah. So, yeah. So,
So you worked through that process.
yeah, but I didn't stay sober because I just
And you didn't stay sober.
no, because I would just maybe like not drink like a couple days before I'd see my PO, and yeah,
So you were navigating how to drink
yeah, like just
Okay.
and not get caught,
and not
you
get
know.
caught.
So then, yeah, like, and I would drive to the liquor store to get, my inebriated husband more blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, this is really outside my hours of my, occupational permit. He's like, well, you won't get caught, and I was like,
Oh
okay,
my
that's what I'm
God.
saying. I mean, it's just, it's that again, it's that arrogance of the addict. Like you're just like, okay, um. So anyway, so yeah, and then yeah, and then I had that happen, and then I I got this opportunity to go out to Turkey. And I was like, this is where I'm going to start my new life.
The
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cuz
Not like I know any other place
yeah,
where
I know,
Turkey
right?
is,
Yeah.
but I'm just
So, and
like
it was
Turkey, the country. Yeah.
great, and they're going to build this new school, and I just got
Oh,
this business. That was another one of my coping mechanisms. Was like, you know what? I need some successes right now.
I'm just gonna pivot, and I'm gonna pivot right now, and
Yeah, I'm gonna get a business degree, and I'm gonna make him pay for it, and then I'm gonna do this unpaid internship at the Connecticut State Legislature, and then I'm gonna go and I meet these people from Turkey, and they're like, come to our country, and we're gonna have this new school, and you can, be the instructor and maybe the director at some point because you have this new business degree, and it's in Antalya, which is like this like luxury resort place. I mean, I stayed in a Rixos hotel, which is like a 5-star hotel on the coast.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And I was like, this is how I'm going to start my life again. And but of course, like not sober, of course. And I mean, even my Aunt Mary, who's no longer with us, she's like, I've done interventions before with the sisters, and I'm legally we can do one with you, and just have you maybe spend some time in recovery.
So you have people around you who are aware
Mm-hmm.
that things are not
Not
okay with you.
Yeah, and I was like, if I don't go to Turkey, I'm really not going to be okay. Because they saw the undereating, they saw the exercise addiction, they saw the alcoholism. And they're like, you are really not doing well. I mean, my neighbor actually, who was kind of I call her like my Connecticut parents, they were just wonderful. Well, because Debbie was from Vermont, so she doesn't really count. And Mac, her husband, he was from Bridgeport, so same thing. He doesn't really count.
Okay.
And they were such kind, wonderful people. And Mac had put up a clothesline for me in the backyard, and so because I love hanging clothes and la 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 la. And she came over and she said, with all the love of a parent, of a loved one, to say, and she said, you look like a Holocaust victim.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In a loving way, though, just saying, like, Sarah,
trying to communicate to you
yeah, you have a problem.
how
Yeah.
bad it
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah. Like, I love you with all of my soul, but you look like a Holocaust victim, And yeah, it was just it was ridiculous.
So
Yeah.
how long were you in Turkey?
So, well, because I got there, and it was just fantastic. And I'm, like sitting in this hammam with this, other girl, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to like hang out with me and my like sugar daddy?" I mean, he's probably gonna be wasted anyway, but I just kind of, could you be my wing woman, because I get so bored, and just, I mean, he gives me money, but I would just, be nice just to kind of have someone to talk to. And I was like, "Sure." And this is sober, by the way. We're in a hammam, But so we go down, and it's like this nice evening, and it's this little cafe, and again they eat meat, like they put the Brazilians to shame. I mean, these people can eat, and I did, And of course we have like a beer, and then I go to the bathroom, and the next thing I remember, just waking up in my hotel room. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't move.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, there's some other like really gross details. But yeah. And so the phone's ringing, and I couldn't actually like answer it. Yeah. Like,
No.
yeah. Finally I was able to answer it finally. And then they came over, like, my contact from the school, and they're like, "Well, you need to go to the hospital." I No, 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 I'm fine. They're like, "You need to go to the hospital." So yeah, it turned out that I had like a dual subdural hematoma. Yeah. Yeah, because the other DUI only had like one subdural hematoma, but this wasn't a DUI, but this was just like, I don't know, like someone slipped me a Mickey, or
Somebody,
yeah.
that's what I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, what the, because I was like, well, maybe it was just like drinking too much, but I'm like, it was like, boom. Like, I mean, the last thing I remember is going to the bathroom. That's the last thing I remember.
Yeah, I've had a couple instances in my life that
Yeah.
are just like,
Yeah, like,
this is not right.
no. And so, that was pretty terrifying. And so yeah, basically, like, so Turkey never happened. The director said, "Well, gosh, the board isn't renewing my contract, so I can't give you a
We're
contract."
sending you home.
Yeah, we're gonna send you home. And I was like, "What?" Like,
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So my husband actually came
So how
home.
long were you actually there
So I was
for?
there for probably like maybe a week or so.
Oh my
So
Lord.
he basically called my husband and said, "Come here and pick up get your wife,"
From
But
Turkey?
Yes. So they made him fly to Turkey, and of course we couldn't stay in the Rixos anymore, but found some other place. But I was in just extreme pain. Like, they were giving me the paracetamol, but like my neck. Like I was like just screaming in pain because I don't know. Again, I don't know what
What happened?
I have no idea. They say like maybe the hotel is like some video of like me being
Yeah.
carried in, but like I had like three like major kind of like abrasions like this, like like almost like you were like dragged downstairs. I have no idea. So there was no I wasn't robbed. By the time this happened, they couldn't really do a rape kit, but yeah, I mean just unreal. Yeah. Like just so I really however, like reading the headlines a month later, they found some American woman's body up at, buried at Hadrian's Gate. So I was like, I think I kind of dodged another bullet
Dodged another
there.
bullet.
Yeah, I think that basically the universe is like, you need to go home. Yeah. So that was a really like kind of fucked up way to do it, granted, but so by the time I was again feeling like a failure. You're like, I like somehow like fucked up, and I just like all of my dreams were just
Instead of seeing it the other way, which
yeah,
is I
yeah,
survived
yeah.
a
I
thing.
survived this,
Because you didn't get any therapy or anything like that to like you
Mm,
didn't seek any outside
mm-mm.
perspective or like
No.
any because we didn't do those things back in the day.
No, no, absolutely not. Like so, and it was just one of these like and nobody could really say, you know. Um so yeah, yeah, and I just felt like this failure. I felt like, like now what? And then so I was just I didn't know what to do. Here's all these boxes of my stuff, and just oh, I think they like yeah, so then we had so that was in October and then we had the nor'easter which basically wiped out all the power and October because it was this heavy wet storm that just
Yeah.
down yeah
Yeah.
and it was freezing. It was so cold. And again, because I had, very little body mass left, I was just like, under the covers and then I would go and it was just horrible. And finally, my husband's like, I think it's time for you to go home, back to Milwaukee, to get back in touch with the girl from Milwaukee that I fell in love with. And I'm like, are you high? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I think this guy like just watched too many rom-coms. Like, I swear to God, I'm like, you have no concept of like relationships or people or, anything. So he's like, get back in touch with your roots and blah blah blah. So yeah, so that was it. So I basically went back to Milwaukee and was just an absolute kind of, shit heap. I just surrounded by like, whatever we could fit in the car because there were no like rental cars at that time. So we just were driving like our little cars and yeah, like now what? Like and at that point it had been 5.5 years. So all my friends, all my, everyone's moved on. They're like, Sarah, great to hear from you, but I got shit to deal with,
Uh-huh.
My friend, that was actually that lived down the street. I think that's why I moved there to that location. Sent me a Dear John letter saying, you know what, I can't watch my friends killing themselves. So good luck with that. But I got my own shit to deal with. So good luck. And I was like, yeah, it was horrible. I felt very alone. But, again, I have like my, at least, comfort of, my alcohol. So, you know, I just would go to the gym for 3 or 4 hours and then maybe send out a couple resumes and then at, for thirsty or whatever, just, start. And
Hit
again,
the bottle.
you just really just kind of like justify it. You get the box of wine, so you can just have a glass of
Uh-huh.
wine that you just keep topping up.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And on and on and on. I didn't really go out that much because I didn't know anyone, and I knew that if you go out by yourself, you're probably gonna get in trouble. So I really didn't do that very often. Yeah, it was really pretty miserable for quite some time. And then but I finally then was like so desperate and I was just doing these little gigs here and there, just really, I'd have to call my husband in Connecticut to, ask for money because we
Because you're
never
still married.
yes, we're still married. And I was like, oh, we tried to DIY divorce even in Connecticut. And again, it's like, if you want to DIY something, like, put up a picture. Don't DIY your divorce, because he's like, well, that would leave you without insurance. And then I'm like, yeah, my friend who's divorced is saying, that's why you get an attorney to get
Oh
divorced.
my
And
God.
I was like, oh my God. So you're just like, oh, this is so humiliating. And so yeah, so I finally knocked on MPS's door, like all right. Because I was like, I do not want to work with children. I do not want to work with children. I do not want, but then finally I'm like, I need a fucking job, so I went to MPS and I got a sub gig, and that got me through the rest of the semester. And then they're like, well, we're done. We're not really hiring. And I was like, over the summer. So then, again, another, very good Samaritan helped me kind of zhuzh up my resume, and I sent it out to the charter school. So I got a gig with the charter school, and that was good actually. It was really good. But I was like, whatever happened to MPS? So then I called them up, and they're like, oh, we're just waiting on your health report or something. And I was like, I did that back in April. And they're like, oh, well, then come in and sign your contract. Like, what?
Oh, what?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I had to leave the charter school hanging. And they were very gracious about
So
it.
if you would have never called, you would have never known.
Oh yeah, their HR system is, yeah, they're horrible. Um, because was saying like I had tried for like a year to get in. This is something I was really working hard for, and they understood, and they were very gracious about it. They even like gave me like a little card. I was like, thank and yeah, so then I signed on with MPS. And so that was after third Friday in September. So they got the funding for their attendance so that they could bring on like a language B teacher. So I'd be teaching Spanish at the two elementary IB schools. But we don't have a curriculum. And actually, you're the only like elementary Spanish teacher in the district. We need you to start like 5 minutes ago. Right, set, go. Yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah. So,
But you did it.
yeah, I did it. I did it. And again, like just, this is again, I think one of my superpowers is just reaching out for help and starting to, contact and da 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 da, network, and like helping people, help get help from people. And then so that was okay. So that was September. And then you're doing that, but again, like you say, like you're kind of, flying by the seat of your pants because you still are, kind of fooling yourself into thinking like, oh, I can still maintain my lifestyle that I had when I didn't get up at like, 6 in the morning. And then I can still, have a cocktail or two or three at night and then just get up the next day, maybe a little fuzzy, but
But we'll be okay.
we'll be okay until you're not, So I basically had a couple series of, just really bizarre, like over drinking events at home, of course, but just like, where you're literally falling down drunk.
Yeah.
I actually went to school, and like I had like kind of like lit like sort of like the inside of my lip, so I was like, what the fuck? So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
and finally, like, I was like, I had to get this taken care of. So I, finally said to the principal, I'm so sorry, but I have a dental emergency and I have to go. But that was, because I was like up drinking the night before.
And hurt yourself.
Yeah, and was literally falling down drunk. Um, and then yeah, and then the DUI, because again, like it's just one of these series of unfortunate events. It was similar to the first one, you just kind of get turned around.
Get confused.
Yeah, but good news, I was going the right way and there were no other cars involved, but I ended up in a ditch. And
Okay.
but again, because your brain is so addled, you're just like, I have to go to work. I have to go to work. I have to, I can't just like stay in the car. I have to go to, I'm calling AAA, but they don't know where I am. I'm calling the police. I called the police because I was like, I need to get out of the ditch to get.
And now you're in Wisconsin. And
Yeah.
you're like, and is their
Mhm.
first question, ma'am, have you been drinking?
Well, then I had to call them back again because they couldn't find me. Yeah. So then they
Ah.
came and they pulled me out, or they had, the tow truck or whatever. And then, yeah. And then that was that. So, but I mean, thank goodness I had the wake up call. You know,
Is that really the thing that you were finally like,
this isn't working.
this is not working for
This
me?
is not working. Like saying, okay, you finally got. I mean, my dad was so proud of me. Like he's like, you finally. I think he sent me like a card. Just like, I'm so proud of you because he saw the whole thing.
And what is the timing between these two events?
Yeah. So what really broke my heart was that, because Canada has a zero tolerance for DUIs. Like if you got a DUI, you cannot come into our country. And so I was saying to my family in Canada, so this was 2008. Let's see. Mm-hmm. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes. So it was 2008. And I was in tears and I'm like, I can't believe, because I wanted to go and visit them, and I couldn't,
Yeah.
and they said, well, and they did the work and they did the research and they said, okay, 6 years after the end of your probation, you can apply for the certificate of rehabilitation, and
From the first event,
yeah,
and then you got the second event.
I was like, oh my God, oh my God, I'm never gonna see my family in Canada, and here we go. And yeah, and I was saying like the hardest phone call I felt, that I had to make, and I still do, was calling my dad, and saying I did it again,
I did it again.
and I would not have blamed him if he hung up the phone, but he didn't. And I think that's, I mean, he always said, well, what, like, you got your shelter. I'm like, like, it really took a village, I mean, my mom, same thing. They didn't disown me. I mean, when I was doing my conditional time, the Huber facility, I mean, I called them my roommates, not the inmates, whose families wouldn't speak to them, you know, they're, yeah,
So you got jail time out of
I
this.
did. Yeah. Yeah. And,
How much
I
jail time out of this?
well, I was the judge really threw the book at me. This was the same judge, by the way, with the Slender Man girls. So
Oh,
can you imagine, like, here's like drunk ass Mankowski and this Slender Man. He's like, can I like catch a break here? My God. But yeah, he sentenced me to 10 days, and I got 8 days for good behavior.
okay.
Yeah. So, but then of course, I think it was 18 months of probation.
Probation.
Yep. And then of course, like your fines and your fees and I think, then your post sentencing, I think, was like a good 30 days. So, but again, because,
So, but
yeah. Hmm.
were you already starting to uh be sober when you went into jail,
Oh,
or
yes. No,
oh,
I,
okay.
I was basically like,
Did you like once you had that thing, like you're like,
yeah,
I
that
am
was
not
it.
drinking.
Yeah. Actually, it was kind of one of these things like, I just realized, but you're still kind of like sort of thinking about it. And so I think my last drink was, because I got together with a friend at the public market, and I think I had like a flight of wines, and I was, yeah, saying like, I think I'm gonna be looking at some jail time, and but realizing like you can't do this anymore. You can't. You're done,
So the
you
flight
know.
of wine was your last.
Yeah.
And when was that? You 2013, you said?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's interesting because, like I kind of forget, I'm starting to forget, and that's great. I mean, like I say, maybe it's really onset, maybe it's just letting it go. However, when I applied for the temporary residence permit, to Canada, and the criminal rehabilitation certificate, you have to dredge all that shit back, and it was really hard. It
Challenging.
was really hard because I had to go through all
All
of
of it.
it, all, and like very detailed. I mean, I have like a dossier like this, so the border patrol officer is like, I don't mean to pump your tires, but your attorney has really did an impressive job. And I'm like, pump away, absolutely. But yeah, it was a lot. It was very, very difficult. It was so difficult. You have to go through all the police reports, and all the people that you hurt. I mean, I was able to actually meet the other driver of the vehicle. By the way, there were a couple empty cans in the back seat, but they didn't do a PVT on him. So whatever. Um, that I was able to meet him at the courthouse, and to apologize
Yeah.
and say, I'm sorry. I mean, he's always gonna, I mean, he's okay. Like I say, everyone walked away and got a settlement from the dram suit insurance that the tavern had. They, at the last minute, they were gonna start picking a jury.
Wow.
But the dram suit then went through, and so they paid out everyone. Um, but again, he's always going to have, a reminder of, either just a limp or pain or whatever. I mean, just like I have a reminder of the accident that, some kid, hit me. Like I can
Sure.
still, but I'm very, very grateful. I'm so thankful, that that's it. I mean, that's it, but I mean, just that, there weren't worse consequences.
Yeah.
I'm very, very thankful for that. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, thinking about like the difference between being an actor, like, when I was drinking versus like doing it now, is so different. I mean, I guess, there's the age factor as well. I mean, but then you put like
Sure.
all
We're
these
not getting any
experiences.
younger.
Yeah, I know, right? But like especially like this last, performance, where we got the award, like that, you're putting it all in, like you're just really just putting it out there, like this is it, like when I like with Beauty Queen, when you're like pouring the oil on me, I really channeled Rose Pickering, and I let out all of it. Just I just, it was kind of like those like exorcist movies or something, just blah, you just let it out. Whereas I think, before that it wasn't there, because you haven't lived it yet, you know.
Do you feel like you have better access to your vulnerability and that open heart space, and
100%. Mm-hmm.
feel like you can really access all of your emotions better, that
100%.
you're not clouded with
Mm-hmm.
being hungover,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
or drinking
Yeah,
even
no,
in rehearsals?
100%. Yeah, I mean, because I think, I don't think I know that back then you really think you're such hot shit, and that you're
I never thought I
invulnerable.
was hot shit,
I
ever.
Well, I don't know. I mean, or just, I don't know. You just,
I didn't think about anything. Like,
yeah.
I just didn't think about anything.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, just you just that you kind of like help, you try to ride that thrill as much as you can so that it kind of helps you deal with like the really toxic, domestic situation at home, and it's not getting any better, and like I say, just but now that you've got like that, again, like you're a warrior, and like you're like, I feel like Nick Nolte, like, in the trenches, like clenching the cigar between my teeth with my arms rolled up, like, what are you doing? Like, ah, like I can do this. Ah, like not like a bullet, let me at him. But kind of like that, your palate is so much more extended now, and yeah, that you're really willing to go there. Like, I was doing sort of an exit interview for my director from this last show, because she wants some feedback, but I was saying that I really, like, all systems go. I mean, yes, of course, I work very, very hard in the rehearsals, of course I do, but when the rubber meets the road, like that's when you really kind of open up the reserves, and you just kind of let the tank go, empty the tank, um and it's there's so much more there now, than I think there was before, and I can't wait to see what's next.
And like I said, you get cast on the regular now. Like you're busy. You're a busy, busy, busy bee.
Well, I'm glad, I think that,
But you
yeah.
think about that and you look at that, and I look at my life and I look
Hmm.
at the things that I do and I go, I would never be able to do these things if
Hmm.
I was drinking.
No, because when you're drinking, you're just kind of like, you're definitely like leapfrogging and stuff. I mean, I was saying like in Connecticut,
You're in 100%
yeah.
survival mode.
Yeah, you are, and I mean, I actually did shows like consistently, like for about a year, and I was like, man, like in Milwaukee, I never got this kind of work. But again, it's just, but you're still like kind of, have these like, drinking buddies, and you just still, have that culture. And I think that, I was thinking about that when I first started again, like that I don't do that anymore. So am I going to be in other? I remember actually the first cast party for it was for Gideon's Knot, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and because that was really, I felt quite nervous about that because I was like, I don't have any connections. Like Amanda sent me this. She's like, you might be interested in this, and I was like, oh, and I was like, I don't know anyone, so I don't know about this. Um, and just, having that imposter squad, that
Yeah, yeah.
fraud police, like right here, like
Yeah.
you were actually not really good. People just cast you because they know you, because they're your friends and they like you,
Yeah.
but you're not really good. And so, after the first show or whatever, and they had a cast party over tonic, and I was like, all right, I'll, do you have anything that's NA? And I do not drink NA beer because it's just like drinking like
It's
liquid
so
bread.
gross.
It's blah.
Yeah.
blah. It's so gross. Like just blah. And they said, well, we have Lagunitas hop water. And I'm like,
What the hell is
yeah.
that?
Oh my gosh. And again, I asked like 4 times, like, it doesn't have alcohol and it doesn't have THC, any of that,
Yeah, yeah. Does
no.
it have any of the
Yes,
things?
I know. Does it have, like acid or, I gotta start tripping balls or something.
Yeah.
No. And it was so nice. It was so refreshing. And then I learned more about hot water and, da da da. I was like, this is amazing. It's like a Zima, except not, with those horrible, horrible Zima hangovers. Blah. Um, and it was nice to actually be able to like, enjoy a beverage besides another pint of water.
Another
Yeah.
thing of water.
I
Yeah.
know, because it's so
Less
boring.
water.
I know, and I don't drink Diet Coke anymore because,
Yeah.
it's just it'll
I don't drink
it
soda
takes
either.
it takes the rust off your,
Yeah,
life
yeah, yeah,
support.
yeah.
Like, come on, can you not? I don't even know. Although once in a while, maybe, but not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, you know better. Um, yeah, and so it really was nice to find something that was not alcoholic that you enjoyed, like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really nice. Like in a bar. Like, huh.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't always happen, but and it's not like I'm looking for a substitute. It's not like that. Um, it's just saying like that, I don't drink soda and water is really fucking boring.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And you can,
And
and for me, I can only drink so much lemonade.
I know
There's a lot
I'm
of
just
sugar. Yeah.
water with a lemon. Like, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes like you'll pay like a stupid amount of money for like a Shirley Temple, or
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, like, and Matt will be like, well, we can get a mocktail. I'm like, that's fine, but I'm like, this is kind of dumb and it's really expensive. Like, I'd rather spend money on the dessert. Um, I don't know, but that was nice. That was like kind of a moment where you're like, I can hang out with theater people in a bar, and
And
have
feel part of the
something,
community.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
feel rather than like just like this is boring and I want to leave.
Do you do anything for your recovery? Like, do you?
Right. That's a great question. So, that's another part of the imposter syndrome. Is that I went to, I checked my boxes. I did my, I think I had to go to like 6 AA meetings, and, again, I'd been to Alateen,
Yeah.
and, I just, I sat and I listened quietly, but it's just, it's not for me. Now, granted, I mean, I had like, a lot of the sayings like up, I remember like, the stickers in my closet and stuff like that. And I really, agree with a lot of what they say. I mean, and it really is
It's
part of
really helpful to a
it
lot of people.
is. No, and it really, it really is. And it's actually, again, like part of the fabric of my upbringing, literally. I mean that, some of the sayings. Um, but I think as a whole that, it's a little too churchy. It's a little too ritualistic for me.
Feels.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, thank you." Now, like, I mean, my husband is, he's the poster boy for NA. I mean, he goes 3 times a week. He goes to the retreats. He goes to the conferences, conventions. I never know which one it is. Um, you know, and that's great because
That
that's what
works for
works for
him.
him.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And he's saying like, well, you don't have to have like, and it's not really Narcotics Anonymous, but they couldn't use like Addicts Anonymous because they already had
Sure.
so, but I just, again, I was like, it's just, it's just kind of not for me. They say, well, they have all these different kinds. And I remember like during the pandemic, I was spending more time like looking at the online stuff. And, he had introduced me to a couple of his friends who shared their testimonials with me. And I was like, that's really great. Thank you for sharing. And I kind of listened in on a few of the meetings online, but they have like some pagan ones, and I'm like, okay, can I just say no, thank you? Can I just say no, thank
Mm-mm-mm.
you? Can I just, but then they say, okay, well then, yeah, like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm not drinking. um, but I really have this fear that doesn't really go away. It's just that you're basically dry drunk. That the only difference between you and the you before is that you're just not holding a beer. That you still
Mm.
have all that, like clusterfuck of like issues that led to, your yeah, substance abuse. And so now you don't have the substance, but you still have all the issues. I mean, now people have said like, no, 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 like you made such progress, and I've seen counselors, and I've da 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 da, done all the things, but
Do
you
you have an
know,
active therapist?
yes, I
Okay.
do. And I just but you just always, I mean, you're your worst critic,
Yeah.
you feel like and I think that it's sometimes difficult because, I feel like, it's sort of like, the others, the enlightened ones, the ones that get it, the ones that are part of the fellowship, the trusted servants, and I'm like, um
Again, it really
It
works for
it
some
does, and it
people.
works for him, so that's great. That
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
But I feel like what am I doing? And again, there it is. Like, well, you're compulsively working, and you're, like, if you could get to the gym every day, twice a day, you would, and you're always insecure about your eating and your body image. So that is still
So
active.
you still have some things that you're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, those just haven't gone away. The alcohol, has gone away, but yeah, I'm
And
just
it's been 13 years now.
yeah, it's been a minute.
It's
Yeah.
been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So, like Matt really celebrates like clean time anniversaries, and I have, friends
I do
do.
too. I
Yeah.
like it.
Oh yeah, and we have friends that throw like big parties and everything, and like I say, that was something that I forgot, that I actually had to like
Oh,
kind
okay.
of,
Remember?
remember, and he like made a note of it, and I was like, okay. Um, you know,
Well,
uh,
he's remembering for you.
yes, so I'm like, thank you very much. And I just
I just find I
yeah.
just find even though like theater was there when I was in active use,
Mm-hmm.
theater is still a really great anchor point for me
Yeah,
to keep me from not using.
absolutely.
I
And
want to do my best art
yeah.
now.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, it's what I feel again very, very thankful for is that it is a non-negotiable. That I mean, you can say like, well, maybe I'll, like eat less or exercise more, but it's like it's never on the table. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just have one, or like I won't get caught, or it's not going to make a difference. Like
I
it's
don't even think
never,
about it. Yeah.
it's no, it's never on the table, and I feel very, very fortunate because I mean, we all know that is not an easy feat. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but we are really walking fucking miracles, um that you don't have to deal with that. I quit smoking the same way. I just again, like living with someone who, if he could smoke with both hands, he would. And I just was, as a smoker, just I was like, I cannot stand it. And also getting on the treadmill the next day after
Crazy
being
town.
out, yeah, and you're like, I have a lung hangover, like, oh, forget
Crazy
it,
town.
yeah, oh my gosh. And it was just done. Like, I just stopped smoking,
Wow.
and yeah, people are like, wow, that's amazing. Because like Matt, he really struggled with that too. He actually had to do a hypnosis.
Okay.
Yeah, and it worked,
I did cessation. I
really.
I did I did like I was at a pack a day and then I
Mm.
went like, you know, we'll do, you know, 17 cigarettes today.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll do 13 cigarettes
yeah.
today. Yeah.
Wow, did it
And
work?
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's great.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
I
gosh.
haven't smoked since like 2006. It's been like 20
Hmm.
years since I
Yep.
smoked for no, that's not right because I smoked for 10 years and then yeah. So
Yeah.
I started smoking in what, 94?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
2004.
started.
That's more. Yeah. So I think it's been
Yeah.
22 years since I stopped smoking.
Yeah. It's amazing. I know. And it's funny because I'll see people who shall remain anonymous, who are smoking, and I'm like, really?
How do you do that these
I
days?
know.
How do
I'm
you
like,
do that?
I
How do you do that,
know.
smokers?
I
How
know.
do
I
you
was
make
like,
it's so
it's so
expensive.
expensive. Like, oh my God. And I'm
It was
just
a
like,
dollar 78 when I started smoking.
oh, I was like, oh, it's over $2 now. Better get out, let's start looking in the, couch
In
for
the couch.
quarters. Oh my God. Like, yeah, maybe we have to get like I will say this, I capital N never got like the generic kind though. I
I never did
never,
either.
no, I was like, that is
Yeah.
nasty. I never did
I was a
that.
Marlboro girl
Yeah,
all the way.
I
Yeah.
know. And then I went to Camels, and I went to, yeah, I did try Newports for a while.
Oh,
I don't know.
yikes.
I know. I did the menthol thing, and And that's a great way to not have people ask you for cigarettes. Be like, "Oh, sure,
Oh,
here you
yeah.
go." And you're like, "Oh, no, no, no." Yeah.
No,
So,
thank you.
always have a pack of menthols in your pocket. Guaranteed.
Uh,
Yeah. So, yeah,
well,
I feel
I
very, yeah.
really hate to cut this we've
Hmm.
been talking
I know.
for forever. I haven't even I forgot to even keep time of this.
Mhm.
But and I'm sad because we didn't even get to your Poland story of
Yeah.
being in the Peace Corps
Oh,
and all that
yeah.
kind of
Oh
stuff.
my
And
God.
getting
Yeah, the box in the head.
your hearing aid and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
That'll be part
We didn't
2.
talk about how you're hearing impaired and like all
Yeah.
the things. And so
Yeah.
we'll have
Oh,
to
for
have you back
sure.
because I feel like
Absolutely.
we have more story
For
time
sure.
because there's a lot to unpack
Oh
here.
my gosh,
And
there's so
so
much. Yes, I'm
yeah,
a
I
big
just
like Samsonite.
absolutely
Yeah.
there's just there I just feel like your story is so large
Mhm.
that
Yeah. Like the Odyssey.
we gotta have you back. But I want to I've got this thing called the recovery round.
Ooh, all right.
So I have 5 questions for you.
All right. Ooh, this is gonna be good.
And this is like whatever like it just comes off
All right.
the top of your head.
Okay.
All
Don't
right.
overthink this.
Don't
All right.
overthink this at all. Who or what was your unlikely source of support?
Um, I think my friends from the gym. Yeah. My friend Danny really like helped drive me to my 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 meetings out in Waukesha, and my I had to go twice a day to get to blow for my
Oh,
PDT
wow.
test. Yeah, because I couldn't wear a scram bracelet because it abraded my flesh. And so like if they loosen it, then it wouldn't read, and if they tightened it, then it would. Yeah, so
Scrape your leg
yeah,
to
so
the
twice a
bone.
day.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So
Twice a day.
yeah, it was horrible.
And you
Yeah,
don't have a license.
I
And so you
know.
have to
Yep.
ask people.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
So, and you
God.
can't take public transit out there from, like Whitefish Bay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the more unlikely ones. Just,
Okay.
again, like my connections. But yeah, friends and family. Yeah.
Okay. Um, what would you tell your using self?
Oh my God. Like just
Right?
yeah, I know, like we just
Let's
yeah.
stop it.
I know, stop it. And like yeah, I mean just like get your shit together. Oh my God, slap
Right?
yeah. Like an airplane, the people, coming back, like, like, oh my God. And again, like it's one of these things where it's like, like like you just like you're it's kind of like this like 10 years of like MPS. Like again, that's some hard time. But they're just not ready. And it's true, like that, my using self, like it'd be like, you have a you an alcohol, like, and they'd be like, I'm fine, because again, people would say that, like, you have a problem with, I think Sarah drinks too much, like, and I'm like, you can go to hell, I mean,
Yeah.
I just, you weren't ready yet, so it was just, again, I'm glad that it happened, better late than never. But yeah, my using self could not be convinced. Nope. I mean, whether it was my Aunt Mary, whether it was, school sister of St. Francis, nope. I mean, she's a straight shooter. Like, she doesn't like, bullshit you. I mean, so if she's saying you have a problem, and I'm like,
You have a
I
problem.
don't have a problem. Like, so you're not ready.
Kind of covered that. What's a project you're proud of that nobody saw?
Oh, actually, well, or like one person maybe. Like so we did
I mean, we'll use
all
nobody
right,
as in
nobody, but yeah. So
yeah.
Molly Sweeney, Brian Friel's Molly Sweeney, we put it up in 3 weeks. It's a series of
Wow.
12 monologues from each of the three characters. Has
Yeah.
12 monologues, and we put it up in 3 weeks. At that time, I was commuting to Carroll, so I could kind of run my lines like while I was driving back and forth to Carroll,
Yeah.
teaching English.
Yeah.
And we took it to Ottawa. And so for the one performance at Acting Irish International Theatre Festival, and so my uncle Mike, who lives in Ottawa, was like, "Oh, I'll come and see it. Great." And so, again, like I have my glasses off because she's, visually impaired. And, the lights go up and there's it's like, oh my God, there's like a black right there. Like, oh
That's
my
so
God,
funny.
like I can't see, they're like an Uncle Mike, like, oh my God, just start. And
Was it just Uncle Mike?
no, it was
Oh,
like,
a
the
handful of
audience.
people.
But yeah, so he's the only person, that can say, like, I actually
Oh,
saw it
okay.
was not recorded.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Uh, what's harder, recovery or opening night?
Opening night.
Yeah?
Yeah, 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 I would say so. Because opening night, you're just kind of like, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this up. Just like running my like for opening line, and you're just backstage and you're like, okay, there's a curtain, okay, like, and you're gonna go, and there's a woodpecker. Yeah, so yeah, opening night. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember like so for the understudy performance of Beauty Queen, because we didn't really have any rehearsals. I mean, we had a couple like little half rehearsals and sort of like, okay, ready, set, go. And
It's not really a performance.
yeah,
It's an open rehearsal
right,
run.
okay, fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, but still. And so I
To that
remember,
point,
yeah,
like you guys didn't you don't there's you have such limited time
right,
to work together.
right,
Yeah.
right. So basically, like, yeah, in fact, that was the first time that actually, me and what's his name? Is it Pete? Not Peter. Who's the guy that played Ray, the photographer? What's his name?
It was Jake.
Yeah, Jake. He's the first time we'd actually worked together. Was on
Oh, that's
stage.
hilarious. Well,
And he was
speaking of
like,
another really busy person, like
yeah, I know, right?
Jake Badovsky is
Yeah.
one of
Oh
the
my God.
busiest people
Yeah.
I know.
So I remember like coming onto the stage and like seeing the chair and almost like feeling like I wanted to throw up. I was like, I have never been so nervous in my entire life. I've done a lot of shows, but I was like, I actually was like feeling like I wanted to throw up. But it's fine because there
Because we
wasn't.
let friends and family come but you're using the real set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know it was great, and but so good news is there wasn't a lot of blocking. Yes.
Yes,
So I could
lots of
just
lot of chair sitting.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I could sit in my chair and just do my lines and like
Yeah.
because that's what I'm good at and yeah,
It
so
was
that was
super fun.
fine.
It
Yeah,
was
and then you
super
just
fun.
go. But yeah, just seeing that chair and just kind of feeling like, oh my God. Yeah. So it's sort of like, like when you're at Great America, like, you're in
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and then you're like, holy shit. Yeah, it was kind of like
Recovery is
that.
just kind of like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
recover.
But
Yeah.
again, like I say, like it's just I really I have that imposter syndrome and I just I don't I mean it's I feel like kind of moving forward, having like, fucked up like so many times, you kind of have that sort of, sort of,
Ear.
yeah, in your ear, like, okay, like here's this or here's your marriage,
Yeah.
yeah, don't fuck it up like you did the
Yeah.
first time. Because that was all on you, like I mean, again, you're just your worst critic, and I think that in recovery, you just you you feel like many times, doing things for the first time, you know, with more brain cells maybe or less left. Um, yeah, it's like okay, what the fuck, and that's just always kind of there, versus like, oh, you got this. Yeah, former person's like, you got this. I'm like,
You do got this.
yeah, thank you very much.
You do got this.
Thank you.
You do got
Thank
this.
you very much.
You do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Last question.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, I'm going to be an understudy in all-in productions of Red Days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the
They're
understudy
starting
for
those
pretty
soon.
soon. I know. I should look at my lines.
You should do that. This is your
Yeah.
kind reminder.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm
Very
gonna
cool. At the new
yeah.
pink space at PATH.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, I mean, I'm underemployed, so I'm teaching every night during the semester, which really like cramps my style, but I'm still gonna audition for vagina monologues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So I was like, yeah. So, we'll see.
Okay.
We made it work. see
You
if we can
got
make it
this.
work. And just if not, just, keep it fresh.
There's always Stitch and Bitch.
Yes, I know. I'm
There's
so
always Stitch
excited.
and Bitch.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. How about you? What's next for you?
Oh, this isn't my
Ah,
episode.
all right. Thank
I
you.
got the whole constructivist season.
That's
Like the
right.
that's what
Woo!
the producer hat
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we do all the shows.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
I'll be there at auditions.
oh my gosh. I don't I don't know how many auditions we're doing this year,
I know. Yeah. I
but
don't
you'll be
know.
the first to know.
I was gonna say thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank
Yeah.
you so much
Well, thank you.
for coming, and your story is so large. It's just thank you for being so open and honest and sharing how much. That is a Samsonite. That's a lot of weight
It
to
is.
carry. That's
Yeah.
a lot
That's
of
like over the weight limit, actually.
that is over the weight
Yeah.
limit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
just that's such a story. It's such a life.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we'll come back because I love your story of being in Poland
Yeah.
and getting your earbox and
Yeah.
all of it, because it's
Yeah.
just one of those stories that you're just like, what?
It's true. It's all true.
Your
Yes.
ear exploded? What?
Yeah.
What? So
Yeah.
that's for another time.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I just that's one of those stories that I just never forget, and I think you need to share it with more
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
You'll have to come back and tell
Oh,
another story.
absolutely.
Tell more
I
tales
will.
another time.
I will, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Be well.
And you.
Rehearsal and Recovery is produced by me, Jamelyn Gray, with support from Let's Go Windows and Doors, Get More for Less with Less, and music from Radd X. Please join us every Tuesday as we talk with a new artist about their recovery journey on Rehearsal and Recovery.